Hello, beautiful souls. My name is Jessie, and welcome back to another episode of Rewired to Inspire. This show where we'll dive into self-love, learn tangible ways to rewire the brain, and discovering your soul's purpose. The goal of Rewired to Inspire is to encourage listeners to begin doing the hard work, to get curious and open to maximizing your life. Our mindset shapes how we live. Depending on life events, traumas, and personal experiences, our mindsets are all vastly different. However, one thing we all have in common is the ability to rewire our mind, to change the narrative, and to pivot our lives. I hope you leave each episode with the belief that you are so worthy to live a life true to you. I look forward to chatting with you every single Tuesday and Thursday and helping you grow exponentially in all areas of your life. Without further ado, here's today's episode. Hello, you guys, and welcome back to my podcast, Rewired to Inspire. I am your host, Jessie Brown, and I am so full of gratitude to be jumping on the microphone with you all today. If this is your first time tuning in to Rewire to Inspire, welcome. I welcome you with open arms. I am so excited to have you here. If you are a returning listener, I am also thrilled to have you here. And thank you so much for tuning in for today's episode. Before I get started, I did just want to plug in that I just started a Facebook page for this community. So for listeners of this podcast, I have created a Facebook page. I will put the link in the bio below, or feel free to send me a message if you want an invite into that group. But basically the reason that I wanted to design a group is because I recognize that I want to connect with you guys and I want to connect with the listeners, but also because I think that anybody who's here and tuning in is likely on a mission to become the best version of yourself, to work on self-love, to work on inner child healing, to normalize mental health conversations, to work on finding our purpose. And I think that through that journey, it can really sometimes be a lonely journey, especially when we begin to grow and we begin to get new awareness and we begin to elevate. We can become really unrelatable to our old life. We can begin to feel really alone. We can begin to feel stuck. And so my goal of the community is to encourage you guys that while going through that, you don't have to be alone. And that I know exactly what it can be like to have that feeling. And I have been feeling it for so long and just craving a sense of aligned, like-minded community. So if you're interested in getting into there, my promise to you guys is to post in there every single day. Sometimes it's going to be quotes, sometimes it'll be a video, sometimes it'll be a learning. But my hope is that you guys will also engage and also post your guys' wins, your guys' struggles, so that we can all just normalize and grow together, have each other's backs, and just know that we can go through this journey together and it doesn't have to be something that is lonely. And so if you are interested in that, again, it's going to be in the description below. Also, feel free to send me a message and I can put you into that group. And it is just going to be a safe space where you can post anything. There is going to be a no negative tolerance if there is any kind of shaming or rudeness at all. It is meant and designed to be a positive, loving space to be in. So I'm super excited to share that with you all, something that has been up my sleeve for a little while and it is finally in motion, and I'm excited to share with you all today. And with that, and with gratitude on my heart, I am so excited to share with you guys number 66 of Rewired to Inspire on the Route 66 today. I can only say that once, so I better take advantage of it. We are going to be talking about that this one thing will change your life. And so, as I was preparing for this episode, this came up for me during Thanksgiving dinner, oddly enough. So, as I was eating Thanksgiving dinner and just reflecting on Thanksgiving as a whole after, I really kept coming back to the fact that during that one dinner, everybody always says what they're thankful for. It's Thanksgiving, you have gratitude on your mind, you have thankfulness on your mind, and you begin to share the things that you're grateful for. And it really becomes almost like forced time to stop and express with your family and friends and loved ones of the things that you're grateful for every single day. And the reason that I wanted to share this is because typically everyone begins to feel super warm and happy and grounded and in their bodies, and the food just always tastes better, and life is just always better when we have gratitude, because usually one person says, I'm so grateful for this food, and it just makes you so much more in your heart when you're eating. Instead of just scarfing down your meal to go do the next thing, you're actually slowing down and being thankful for it. And the reason that I think we feel that way is because you're practicing gratitude. You're allowing your mind to see the good, to focus on the good, to see the present moment, to be in the present moment. And I think that it allows us for just a second to get out of our heads and to get into our hearts, because we are hardwired beings of being negative. In fact, 70 to 80% of our thoughts that we have on a daily basis are negative. And a vast majority of those are negative thoughts that we had yesterday. So just think about that for a minute, that 70 to 80% of your energy that you use every single day that has been hardwired within us, because again, this is not something we do on purpose, is wired to focus on the negative. And the reason for this is because we're hardwired to seek out any potential threats, any potential dangers that could be coming our way. So what happens is our minds have gotten really, really good at overthinking and thinking at every single second to think about anything that could potentially go wrong. And when we do that, we're not really seeing the things that could go right, because our mind wants to protect us. And so this is when I also want us to give some love and validation and to thank our brain, because at one point in time in life and at certain times in our life, that is very beneficial, because when our mind is perceiving threats, it's able to think quicker to protect us versus it happening and then us responding. It's causing us to be proactive versus reactive in responding. But what happens is that 99.9% of the time, we are not actually in danger, but our mind thinks that we are. And so it's constantly looking for the worst case, constantly looking for threats. You know, think of a time that your boss or your partner or somebody texted you and said, "We need to talk," or "You need to call me right away." I guarantee your mind didn't first quickly go to something positive. No, you were likely triggered, overwhelmed. It's likely that you were going into a stress response. You're freaking out. Your heart's beating faster. You want to call or text this person as fast as possible so you can get rid of this icky feeling happening within you. And then it turns out that they actually wanted to tell you something really nice. And you're like, oh. And then you're like, oh, well, that was silly to act like that. But we have to just give ourselves some credit that we don't really realize that this is happening, but it's happening all the time because we're hardwired to do so. And so as I was sitting there and we were all practicing gratitude and talking about the things we're thankful for, I'm like, interesting how taking 2 minutes to just bring awareness to the things we're grateful for, you begin to stop thinking about all the bad things in your life. You begin to just hyper-focus on all the good things, and all the good things start to flow. And so that is my goal of today's episode, is to talk about gratitude. The one thing that will change your life is gratitude. And I seriously think there is no exception to this, because I think that with anything in life, if we can have gratitude and assurance and trust and just a good outlook on things, you're far more likely to have an actual good outcome and a positive outcome versus preparing for the worst case, wasting all that energy, and then likely manifesting and attracting said bad thing to happen. And I just want you to know that, again, you're not alone. This is actually something that's so common that neuroscientists actually have a name for it, because it's evidently proven through neuroscience and through psychology that this is how human brains are designed. And the thing is that when we always think of the worst case scenario, this is actually called something, and it's called a negative bias. And I remember the first time I learned about this when studying social work and studying psychology, I was like, okay, so there's a name for all the negative thinking that I'm having. This is super helpful. It makes me feel not alone. And so that's kind of my goal right now, is for you guys to not feel alone. Know that it's normal, but know that we can change it. Rewire to inspire, baby. That is the point of this podcast. How can we begin to rewire those things that happen so that we're able to live our life differently? And if you're wondering where this word negative bias came from, it's actually super cool. So it's actually an adaptive trait that human psychology has realized that has served us for so long. And in fact, so far as back as human beings having to hunt with spears on the savannah 120,000 years ago. That is when this part of our brain and the negative bias, neuroscientists believe, began to be formed, because we had to seek out any potential threat that could come our way to literally save ourselves. But I don't know about you, but I don't know the last time that I've been hunting in the savannah with a spear. Yet I feel like that every time I get an email or a text or a call and I don't have a reason of why I'm getting said text, email, or call, we begin to freak out because that part of our brain's like, holy smokes, like there might be a literal tiger about to attack us. But it's likely just our mom asking us if we want something or our partner trying to tell us we didn't put our clothes away, you know? So it's just super, super interesting. And that is the point of today, is that the good news is that we can and have the ability to rewire our brain. And we have the ability to change that 70 to 80% negative thinking into more and more positive thoughts, which is so super cool. And so you might be wondering, okay, great. How do I do this? Do you have the recipe for this? How long is this going to take? How many payments of 3 months is this? And the answer is no payments, infinite lifetime journey, but that it does get easier over time. And I'm going to be sharing with you guys some frameworks that I've shared with you before, but really I want to hone in on this and the importance of this, because this is truly how we can begin to shift this for ourselves. And so there's a few ways that neuroscientists have found that we can begin to shift this negative bias and begin to shift our thinking to be more positive. And so the first one, I've said this before, is to catch it, change it, release it, or to notice, shift, and rewire. Pretty much the same thing. I've said before, catch our thoughts, change our thoughts, release our thoughts. For today, I'm going to be using notice your thoughts, shift your thoughts, rewire your thoughts. So basically what this means is that neurons that fire together, wire together. And so if you don't know anything about the brain, neurons are basically our mind's way of communicating basically everything. And neurons are always firing. Neurons are always finding new pathways, laying down new pathways. And sometimes they can become stuck. Sometimes they can become repeated. And that is really when we get into trauma talk and just our emotions becoming stuck and blocked and our thoughts becoming blocked. But neurons that fire together, wire together. And so catching yourself when you're triggered or overwhelmed, noticing what's happening and telling yourself to release is our body's way of rewiring it to have a different outcome. So when we get said text from our boss or from our partner, when we first begin to notice that we're triggered, okay, we're noticing we're freaking out, we notice we're anxious, we notice we're overwhelmed, and we notice it's happening, we're actually able to tell ourselves, okay, when has this ever actually been the worst case scenario? When has someone actually been chasing me with a spear when they told me they needed to call me? Or do I think I might potentially be catastrophizing and overwhelming myself in this instance and then releasing that? Because again, neurons that fire together, wire together. So if we're able to shift that in that moment and have that new dialogue for ourselves when that happens, we're able to tell our mind, okay, hold on. Yes, it could be possible that something might be wrong, but it can also be possible that something is really, really great and exciting and I might be getting a raise, or my partner might have planned an exciting trip or something in between. But if we're able to see the best case scenario and not the worst case scenario, we're able to rewire our mind to think that, okay, it's possible that something else might be happening here, not just the worst thing that I think and that I'm telling myself is going to happen. So that is the first thing that I want you guys to do, to catch it, to change it, to release it, right? Notice it's happening, rewire that it's happening. Notice you're freaking out, talk to yourself, calm yourself down, ask yourself, do I actually have evidence to back up this thought? Is it worth worrying about till I actually have an answer? And again, honoring what's coming up for you, because if you're feeling anxious, if you're feeling overwhelmed, it's likely because there's a part of you that's freaking out internally. And so it's about having that conversation with yourself. Have I worried about this in the past before? Do I have a reason of why I'm feeling this way? Okay. Is it likely that that's actually happening again? Or is it possible my mind's just trying to keep me safe so I don't get hurt again? So it's about just constantly, and again, this is why I said this is a lifetime journey, because we never really know when we're going to start to feel a certain way, because we don't always know what our triggers are and have control of when we're going to get triggered, but we do have control of how we respond when we are ignited and when we are overwhelmed. And so the second thing that I want you guys to do is, you might have already guessed this based on my beginning story about Thanksgiving, but it's to find gratitude, finding the things that you're grateful for every single day. Noticing your thoughts and your body when you say these things, right? Whenever we are able to create these new neural pathways, and we're shifting our thoughts, and we're allowing our mind to create new space to hold on to more positive outlooks and to produce more resiliency to have more of those kind thoughts. Because just a few seconds of gratitude a day is the most efficient way that we're able to rewire our brain. Tell yourself one thing that you're grateful for right now. Close your eyes if you're not driving, and if you are driving, keep your eyes open, and just tell yourself one thing you're grateful for. Focus on that thing deeply for just a second. Maybe it's your kids, maybe it's your dog, maybe it's your job, maybe it's your house, maybe it's a favorite book right now, maybe it's a tea, maybe it's a coffee, maybe it's like the fall weather right now. What's one thing you're grateful for? And feel that and feel it in your heart and notice how that feels, especially if you start to get stressed out and you're just go, 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 go. Stop for a second and bring awareness to something you're grateful for. It allows your mind to just interrupt that autopilot state of living and pause and notice something that you're grateful for. And finding gratitude every day not only allows us to rewire our brain, but it allows us to get proactive in changing our brain's hardwiring to begin to see the good in the best case scenario. And it's not a coincidence to me that gratitude is one of the best healers of stress and of trauma. One of the first things that I used to do with my clients outside of grounding is to tell me one thing you're thankful for, one thing you're grateful for. Because when it comes to healing and changing our mind and to change our life from being negative and having that negative bias, it's likely because we've become stuck in doing that for so long, and that's what's worked for us. And so it's going to take consistent time to begin to shift that for our mind to begin to see the good again. But once our mind can see the good again and know that, we're worthy and that there's hope, it really can just ignite the belief that we have the ability to heal. But this takes putting in the work every single day. And again, it can be so easy to get stuck in catastrophizing thought patterns and to begin to get tunnel vision and all the amazing things life has to offer. Because as we start to see one bad thing, and we get reassurance about said thing, then we see another bad thing, and then we get reassurance about said thing, and then we just get stuck there, and that becomes safe for us. And we almost begin to get resentful of positive things and positive thinking, and we think that that's just stupid because our negative thinking has served us for so long because it's protected us. But what if it's just doing just that? It's only protecting you. It's not actually allowing you to live optimally. What if you're so stuck in thinking negatively and in those fixed mindsets and in that catastrophizing thinking that you don't even know that there's another way to live? You don't even know there's another way to think. And again, I share this often. I've been on both sides of this. I've now correlated my mind and wired my brain that the second my eyes open, I tell myself things I'm grateful for. It's like this voice just pops in my head as soon as I wake up. What are you grateful for? And then I pause and I ask myself that. But that was not always the case. When I used to wake up, I used to just have the mindset of, another day, like here we go, like off to work and da-da-da. And I would be super, super negative. But now, as soon as I wake up, even on the days that I'm maybe feeling down, I'm feeling a little angry, I'm feeling whatever, I still start my day with gratitude. And I'm telling you, my friend, with every ounce of me, it works and it's so stinking helpful. I was listening to Jay Shetty's book, Think Like a Monk, and they said, and I don't remember the exact statistics. I definitely encourage you to read or listen to this book because it's absolutely fire. It is insane. And that's what encouraged my episodes last week all about breath work, is because breath work, mindfulness, meditation, and gratitude are the things that are viewed as so woo-woo, but the things that literally help to heal us. And that's not a coincidence to me that the things that are viewed as the most like hippy-dippy and like out there and whatever are the things that heal us the most. I find that so, so interesting. Our mind is the healer of our body. The thoughts we tell ourselves lead physiologically into our stress, which then leads to how hard our body's working, which then leads into how we're sleeping, how we're digesting, how we're living, our energy. Everything starts with our thoughts. The fact that our Most of our hormones are created in our gut, not our brain, is also interesting of why we're not taught about the importance of gut health. So many things that are not talked about, which again is so interesting, and why I'm so passionate about bringing awareness to it is because we're not taught these things. Why aren't we taught about gratitude in school if it's so stinking important? Why are we not taught about gut health if it's not so stinking important? The things we tell ourselves, that is why I'm so passionate about self-love, because the things we tell ourselves, the story we tell ourselves will shape our lives, and we get to decide if we want that to be for the best or for the worst. We get to decide that, which is so empowering if you think about it. And I started to do research on the benefits of gratitude because I genuinely was just so curious, and I found this list of like 100 things that gratitude can do to better our life, and I just pulled a few of them and I want to share them with you guys. And some of them are, it makes us happier, it increases our psychological well-being, it enhances our positive emotions, it increases our self-esteem, it improves our relationships, it makes us more optimistic. It allows us to give more, because if we don't feel like we have anything, how are we going to give? So with gratitude, we're able to give more. It helps us to find meaning. It reduces depressive symptoms. It reduces blood pressure. It improves sleep. It improves your overall physical health. Hello? Just by listing a few, I hope that you're beginning to see that practicing gratitude is not just some woo-woo thing. Focus on the good, and the good gets better. 30 seconds to 2 minutes a day is all it takes. It's all it takes to rewire our brain. So my friend, you listening right now, again, what are you thankful for? Do you think that you can find 30 seconds a day to practice gratitude? And if you don't think that you can find that, I encourage you to habit stack that with brushing your teeth, doing it with your kids in the morning, do it while you're driving. There is always time. We are in our head 90% of the time. So if you're up there and in your head, you might as well find the time to slow down and to find gratitude. I encourage you to do it for 3 weeks. And if you can't tell yourself, or if you have time, I encourage you to write it down, because the more we write it down, the more we believe it. And also getting it physically out of our body, that robotic part of us that wants to physically get things out of our body. Sometimes writing them down is even more beneficial than just saying it in our mind. But I encourage you to just start with where you're at. Maybe it starts with just telling them in your mind, and then it starts with writing them down. But get in that habit every day. Maybe it's putting a notebook by your nightstand. Maybe it's putting a sticky note in your bathroom. Maybe it's setting an alarm. Maybe it's associating it with something else. But I promise you, if you are to begin practicing gratitude from now, I encourage you to do it from now until New Year's. And notice how you feel. How is your self-esteem? How is your self-worth? How is your drive? How is your relationships? How is your sleep? How is your overall well-being when you begin to stop and smell the roses and see the good? And you are so worthy, my friend, of interrupting that negative thinking. It is not serving you. It is protecting you. And if you feel like it's protecting you and you don't want to let go of it, I encourage you to go speak to a mental health professional. Figure out what's underlying there that might just need tended to, and know that you're worthy of that as well. I am so proud of each and every one of you. I am so thankful to have each and every one of you tuning in for another episode of Rewire to Inspire, number 66. I truly hope this resonated. I truly hope you guys take this and run with this and try to incorporate this into your life, because I promise you that this one thing called gratitude will change your life. All the love, you guys. Thank you guys so much. As always, I look forward to chatting with you all next week. Bye, you guys. Thank you all so much for tuning into today's episode of Rewire to Inspire. I absolutely love connecting with you all, so make sure you're following me on Instagram. I am at JessieBrown13. If you enjoyed today's episode, please feel free to leave a review or share with someone you think would enjoy. I look forward to chatting with you all next episode. And remember, get out of your head and into your heart.